What's up, viewers? Welcome back to another episode of E&C Question Reflection, where you learn truth, knowledge, and understanding. Before we get this video off, we are going to go ahead and remind you to subscribe to our channel, hit that like button, share this video, and also comment if you feel the need necessary. Also, when you subscribe, do not forget to hit that notification bell and make sure that you hit all, so that you make sure that you get all the material and you're the first one to do it. If you don't, then sometimes you might miss something. So you want to make sure that you hit that notification bell and then select all. So today I am going to be covering a topic about communication. Communication is key, and I know that we've heard that a lot. I don't think that a lot of people understand what that entails. Communication is key. They're just like, oh, so they're repeating stuff that they're just hearing from other people. But do you really understand what it means when they say that communication is the key? So we're going to cover that today. So let's go ahead and talk. Let's do this, y'all. Communication. What's communication? Communication is the way that we talk to each other. It's the way that we look at each other. It's the vibes that we give off with each other. It's the anything from how somebody sees us. Communication can be verbal. It can be nonverbal. So communication is everything. And the thing about communication is that people can take your communication a whole different way, a completely different way. You both can be speaking the same language and it is communicated completely off. So as y'all see, my kids are going to be getting in the car. So welcome my children. So look, but they're not going to be able to look. My kids are trained. They know the deal. So look. So let's continue. Y'all want to speak? Y'all want to speak?
Hello.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all. Don't you say hey, boo.
Hey, boo.
My husband thinks it's so funny whenever I say hey, boo to people.
Hey,
So
boo.
he does that. That is not even funny. But he'd be like, hey, boo. But communication is key because, look, I don't even say like, hey, boo. He says it completely different. So look, that goes back onto communication, y'all. So look, how you speak to someone. Watch this man. Come on, baby, because he said, come on. How you speak to people speaks measures. Your tone of voice speaks measures. The words that you use. So we're gonna start with the English because y'all know how I am about that English language. So look, there's a whole line of different ways that you can speak English. A whole line of different ways to speak English. And you're probably like, what? English is English. Yeah, but it's not. Especially not nowadays. What you could say to one person, it might be okay. But if you say the exact same thing to somebody else, they're either going to, one, not understand it, or two, they could get offended. So it's really, really, really important that you make sure that who you're speaking to understands what you're saying. And not just understands the words that you're saying, but understands where you're coming from. Or actually comprehends what it is that you're saying. I would use an example, but the example that I used to teach to my agents at the call center when I managed the team is kind of probably not an example I would put on a video. It's kind of it can offend a couple of other people. So, but it's really about it's about being cautious about using certain words, because what one person doesn't take an offense to, another person will take the exact word and take an offense to it. Communication is very important. Even if you're using your hands, sign language is a language, people. Remember, sign language is something that people use who cannot hear. They have to have sign language. So when you're using sign language, you may very well mess around and say something very offensive with your hands. So a lot of people, I talk with my hands, but if you ever notice, I'm always doing this or I'm doing that, because I know that there's certain things not to say or not to use. So because it's about communication, you have to be cautious when you're talking to someone. Sometimes you might be trying to be helpful to somebody and you're actually put them down. You might be trying to build them up. Instead of building them up, you actually make them feel like crap, because your intentions were good, but how they took your message was not the way you meant it to be taken. You have to think about what it is that you're going to say to a person. Sometimes you might say something to someone and you're trying to give them a compliment, but they didn't take it as a compliment. They took it as, a whole different thing. I'll give you a really good example. When I first met my husband, I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, born and raised, no playgrounds, none of that. But back in the Midwest, using pronouns like he's and she's, hey, she's doing this, or, hey, she's doing that. It's acceptable. It's not a big deal. It's just something that you say. Here in Florida, especially in specific cultures, if you use those kind of words in the wrong context, they are very, very disrespectful. They're taken completely out of context. So my mother-in-law, I was talking to my mother-in-law, and I was talking to my husband, and I used the pronoun she, and she was very, very, very upset with that. What do you guys need? She was very, very, very upset about that. And it wasn't because I said anything, boy, if you don't get your stuff and go. It wasn't that I said anything like, bye, y'all.
Don't drop my stuff, Jenny.
And whatever that is back there making noise, pick it up and put it in the trash. So it wasn't that, sorry about that. Key fob. Sorry, we have a push to start. Can you guys please hurry up and give me the keys back, because we're dinging and I'm recording. Thank you very much. You're such a sweetie pie. See, they tease me. It's just ridiculous.
Stop.
It's going to stop on its own.
It doesn't look like it. Hold on.
Yes, it is going to stop on its own. Oh, okay. Maybe there's a trick to it. So anyways, I said something about she, and I was referring to my husband's mom. She was very offended by that, even though I didn't cuss her. I didn't say anything that was really rude or disrespectful. But see, that's why you have to be cautious, and you have to take into consideration how someone else is going to comprehend the message that you're sending. Okay. It's super, super, super duper important that you know who you're talking to. Sometimes, the tone of voice, sometimes you might get away with that with one person, and another person might be like, who are you talking to? Who are you talking to like that? You have to know who you're speaking with. And sometimes you're not. The crazy thing about it is with communication is that sometimes you're talking to strangers and you don't even know how to talk to them. That's why I always argue this statement. There's a golden rule. Treat people the way you want to be. Treat people the way you want to be treated. I argue this, and I will always argue this. You don't treat people the way you want to be treated. You treat people the way that they want to be treated. And the thing about it is, when they're strangers and you don't know who they are, you treat them the way that you would want to be treated because you don't know how to treat them. Once you get to know them and you know how they want to be treated, then you're like, well, I'm going to treat you the way you want to be treated because you may very. I'm going to give you a perfect example. I teach it in school. There's a lot of people who don't like people to touch their hair. I don't think I care if someone just, hey, you have pretty hair. Some people will have a fit about their hair. So if you don't know that, then you might touch someone's hair. And then once you realize that they don't like that, now you treat them the way they want to be treated. Communication is super important when it comes to that. You have to make sure that what you're saying is going to be taken. So something that the Bible says, and I'm going to have to pull out the scripture because it's just not coming across me right now. It talks about seasoning your words with salt, or seasoning them, because when you're saying something to somebody, you want it to taste good. And I know you're like, what?
Yes, make them feel good.
Oh yeah, hey Eric.
Yeah, I'm still here. Still here.
You want it to taste good. You want them to be able to take that information and for it to make them feel good. Not for them to be like, oh, no, you didn't just say that. You want to be like, well, you know what? I ain't trying to be funny. A lot of times I'll start a conversation like, look, I'm going to tell you this. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be goofy. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. And then I'll say what I have to say. And that just lets them know just straight off the top, this might not be taken well by you, but this is what it is. And majority of the time, I don't think I've ever had anybody react negatively to me when I do that. But sometimes, you'll have your like best friends and stuff, and you think you know these people, and then you say something so true to them, and it actually hurts their feelings. And you're like, well, I mean, I didn't mean to say it like that. I realized me and my husband spoke two different languages. Probably, I don't know, Eric, what would you say? Probably maybe 6 years ago. I could not understand why him and I were always like this. I'd say something and I'm trying to just say it, and he's just completely taking it the wrong way, or vice versa. I take it the completely wrong. And I couldn't understand what it was until I started studying language itself and communication itself. And I realized that people can actually speak the exact same language, but it be taken completely differently because we all comprehend things differently. Whereas I might say something to you and you might say, oh, okay, I get that. I might say that to somebody else and be like, what? You have to understand, and that's the first part of understanding the language that you're speaking to someone. You have to know how to speak that language to them. It's a really good idea to learn a general level of communication that you can use on anybody, which is really what I do. It's a good idea to learn just a flat out general level of communication. And the reason that you really want to learn a general level of that communication is because there's so many different people to communicate with that you sometimes if you don't have just a general level of way to talk to somebody, there's a very good idea that you'll end up saying something that could offend one person like it wouldn't offend somebody else. So it's kind of like the same thing when I teach about general level of respect. You have a general level that you give to somebody, which is like being polite and being courteous and, not being rude and disrespectful on on that kind of a level, like more or less without using the word respect. If someone's walking through a door, you hold it to make sure that they get through. It's courtesy. If somebody gives you something, you tell them thank you. It's just a general level of respect. And so if you find a general level of communication, and I know you're like, what do you mean? What do you mean by a general level of communication? And the best way that I can say this is to keep it professional. When I speak to the people on a general communication level, it's like I'm doing business with them. I don't get personal with them. I don't use lingo, jargons, ebonics. I don't get real personal as in like details about people or bring in people's names or things like that. When you're doing, because when you're dealing with business, I always tell people you have to keep things separated. You have to keep your personal life separated from your business life, but you also have to keep your business personality separate from your personal personality. And what I mean by that is I'm not saying don't relax on a business level, but you can't be so relaxed that you start just saying whatever pops off the top of your head. So you really have to keep things really business professional when you're talking to somebody on a general communication, and it works. Also, when you're communicating with people, you keep it neutral. Whereas maybe you may be opinionated with somebody else. When you're dealing with people on a general level, you keep things extremely neutral and unbiased. And honestly, that's actually became something I just do on a regular basis. It keeps me out of a lot of drama. So even though it started off as just a general level of communication, a way to talk to somebody that I don't know, without getting too much into personals or in details, it actually became the way I speak to people in general, and speak just in general. I try very, 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 very hard to remain neutral, unless, of course, it's something that I feel very strong about. Then of course, I do have a side I will take. Um, for instance, marriage. There's no neutral to it, unless I'm talking to somebody that's a married couple. Then I don't get involved in their personal situation. I just state the facts, things that could work to benefit both people. So you kind of remain neutral. So when you're communicating with people, you have to do the same thing. And even though you may be talking to your best friend, you can say something to that person that could really hurt them. And you're like, I'm just saying, I'm just telling you. You know, one thing that I say a lot is, I don't care what nobody say. I don't care what nobody say. And so my best friend, he actually, well, he's like my brother. He started off as my best friend before I met my husband. So it's just kind of what I call him, but he's like my brother. And I'll tell him that I don't care. He'd be like, what'd you say? What you mean you don't care? What you mean? And so I actually quit saying that stuff to him, or try not to say it to him. But see, the thing is, when somebody is saying something and you turn around and you say, well, I don't care what you say. I don't care what nobody say. You kind of have to almost step back and step forward again and say, well, it's not that I don't care about you as a person. It's that I know what I'm saying is a fact. And so I don't care if you get upset. I don't care if you do this. I'm stating a fact. Take it how you want it. So you speak in general. There's a lot of controversy behind women putting weave in their hair, and so and even though you're speaking in general, there's a lot of people that will be very offended by the fact that you brought up the fact of putting of using weave in your hair. I don't like it when they put weave in there, to be honest. Even though I used to do it. Me and Eric just made a video about judgment we're gonna be dropping later on tonight. And the thing is, I don't like it when they put weave in their hair. I never needed weave in my hair. My hair's always been down to my butt. But I did it just because it was part of the culture to do. It was something, to be a part of, something to do, wrapping, twisting, and all this good stuff, different colors. And but now, because I'm so more knowledgeful in regards to what it does to your hair, and like chemicals and stuff that you put in your hair, I'm kind of against it. I'm like, let's not do it. If you don't absolutely have to do it, let's not do it. And there's a lot of issues with it. So when it comes to communicating that specific problem, I have to remain very factual. Like, I can't be like, don't put in perms in your hair. I just did it the other day to my one of my niece's friends, and she looked at me crazy. And I said, yeah, don't start putting perms in your hair. And then she was like, well, I mean, my hair grows pretty good. She had pretty long hair. It's pretty. And I was like, look, I'm going to tell you something. When you do that, when you put perms in your hair, it changes your hair's chemical imbalance. It changes the way your hair grows. So whereas it may do what you want it to do and your hair may still grow, it's not going to grow as well as it would have. And that's a fact. So when you're communicating with people on a general communication level, you really end up staying very factual, because that's the only way you're really going to remain unbiased and remain neutral to a point where people aren't going to think you're taking sides. So communication is extremely important. And I mean, we could be talking about this all night long, because communication is nonverbal too. It can be in the facial expression that you have. I had actually did a video on facial expression. Um, your body language, those are nonverbal communication. I mean, I hear a lot of guys like, oh, she wants me. Well, how you know? I can tell by how she's standing. I can tell how she's looking at me. And I mean, it's true. The thing is, when you keep staring at somebody, they're going to automatically think you want something to do with them. And so even though somebody doesn't say anything to you, you know, you're still communicating with the person with your eyes, with your body language. You know, you walk up to somebody, you keep bumping into them. Come on now, you ain't bumped into me that many times all night long. So it's a communication level. So you really have to learn how to get a general level of communication where you can pretty much speak to anybody. You know, you're in a grocery store and you say, I can't. Let's say you're in the back of let's say you're talking to somebody, you're standing behind somebody, and the line is really slow. There's somebody up there using coupons or whatever, and then you're sitting here talking to them. Oh my God, they get on my nerves with these coupons. Okay, let's say you just say this to them. I'm just giving you an example, and then you got this person standing in front of you. Be like, oh my God, I can't. These people with these coupons, and then they go and they use that food stamp card. Then you're like, oh, see, I can't stand these people with these food stamps. Look at all this. And you start talking trash. This person in front of you ain't said nothing to you. So they turn around. Well, I got a food stamp card. Now what you gonna say? You done talked all this trash about people with food stamps and how they got all this food and all this. Now what you gonna say? Because now this person, and there was a story one time about a lady who was doing that. See, foster parents, they get food stamps. They get a lot of help from the government because these kids are foster kids, so they have to be supported. So there was a lady, it was a story I read, and she had 3 new brothers and sisters, 2 boys and a girl, and she had to use food stamps. They had just given her food stamps. She had just went and picked these kids up. They didn't have shoes, like no proper shoes on. It was wintertime. They didn't have a jacket on. They didn't have, they had t-shirts. I'm talking about they were messed up clothes, dirty. They smelled. And here she is dressed appropriately. She's got a jacket on. And so this lady behind her was talking to her about her, like, all these, look how you got these kids dressed and you're just going to use food stamps on these kids. And, you look how you're looking. And like, she just went off. I mean, snapped off on this lady about, and so finally the lady got a little frustrated when she's like, look, I'm a foster parent. I just picked these kids up from an abusive foster, a household where they were neglected and they're not taken care of. I'm in here getting them because she was in like a Walmart or a Target or something, and she was using the food stamp because you can put on the food stamp card, you can put cash on there too. So she's using this card. She's buying clothes and she's buying things. And so this lady was talking about her, and she was like, "Look, these kids. I just did this," and the lady felt so bad for how she treated her because she automatically assumed whatever she thought was going on. She automatically assumed it. And so then guess what? Now she feels like a complete idiot for even saying anything. So first of all, she could have just kept her mouth shut. Like, keep stuff to yourself. But if she'd had a general level of communication, she would have been able to communicate that a little bit better. Now, I wouldn't have said none of that stuff because you cannot assume. Me and Eric just did a video like tonight. Just did a video about judgment. And one of those things about judgment is you cannot judge a person just because you have to have all of the facts before you can judge somebody. And it's the same thing of why communication is so important. Because, it's not that lady's business to tell that other lady why she's using a oh my God, I can't even say it. A food stamp card, a government assistant card to get assistance and help the foster kids that she has. So she doesn't have to explain herself to nobody. She really doesn't. But it got that frustrating that she's, look, let me tell you something, and so she explained herself. But, there's a level of communication that you can have with people. There's a level of there's ways to talk to people where you get your point across, and sometimes people just need to learn how to shut up, to be honest. Sometimes people just need to learn how to keep stuff to themselves. If there's no nice way to say it, if you can't communicate something across to somebody that you feel like you need to say, but you can't get it across to them where it's not going to upset them, I would advise you to just not say that. Just keep that to yourself, because you don't know, you're going to hurt people. And I love you so much. You don't respect me enough, so you didn't care enough about me to keep stuff to yourself. Because we don't know what people are going through. We don't know going through it. I mean, look at people who have drug habits, and then they're trying to get clean. Like you don't know how many I've seen that all. My turn clean, and I commend them. It's a start. You have to start somewhere. You can't just be like, well, you can't be tomorrow I quit doing drugs today and tomorrow I'm 6 months clean. You can't be like that. You have to start. You have to say, you know what, today's the day I'm doing it. And then you start. Some people go like I saw this thing on AA or NA where they get these little coins where they, I've been a month clean. I've been 6 months clean, and they count their days. They count days. They count, the months, and they get rewarded for it. And those are incentives that really push people to keep going. I think one of my friends did a video where somebody was clean for 16 years and they relapsed. You can't, like, it's hard for those people. It's really difficult for those people. I don't know what my son wants, but yes, sir. How can I help you?
Oh, you're doing a video?
Yes, I'm doing a video. Oh, no, you knew I was doing a video. You just want to be in the video. What? You want to come in here and sit here and talk about communication?
With
Well, who else? Okay. Oh, really? He's going to join us, guys. This is my 12-year-old who has a conversation.
I was actually going to look in the trunk for the other boxing glove.
For the other boxing glove. My kids like to play boxing or box, whatever. That's what you want? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you can just tap in. I'm going to say what I'm going to say, but you can be in the video now because I thought you couldn't be in the video, but you can. Can you do it? Can you see? Say hello.
Hello.
Now, we're going to tear up stuff in the car. So look, you're going to have to come this way. So look, it's so important to have a communication level with people, because, like, even with my kids, I might want to say what I want to say to them, but I know that if I say it a certain way, not only is it going to bother them, but it also can traumatize them to the point where they're not going to want to talk to me about stuff. They're going to be nervous around me. I'm going to create an anxiety disorder in my kids, for God's sakes, and they're just not going to want to have anything to do with me like that. So there's certain things I don't say to my kids that sometimes I really want to say it, but I have to find another way, a different way to say it, because it's just not going to turn out well. It's just not what it's going to be. So when you're talking to people, when you're saying things to people, even if they're friends and family, who they are, you have to make sure that whatever it is that you're saying to them is going to come off effective. It's going to come off in a point where, they're going to be able to take that in, and it's going to taste good to them. So it's going to uplift them, meaning that the information that they're taking, they're going to be able to take it. They're going to be able, it may not be great news or great information as far as how they feel about it, but the information is good enough to where they can take it in and say, you know what, I think you're right about that. Because you don't have to be like, you're nasty and your house stinks. That's not funny. You were gonna laugh. I know you. You can't just walk up to somebody, walk in the house and be like, "Oh, your house stank." You don't want to say that to people. So you might have to say, you might have to find a nice way to say that, because that's rough. I can't. It's hard for me to tell people's house smell, and it's hard for me to say, that their house smells.
Or you can't say, can we do this outside? Cause then they gonna smell. Then they gonna like. Then these people probably think my house stink. And you can't do that. So you gotta go in there, just sit down, and take the smell.
He's right though. He's so right, because you be in there like, I'll put lotion on. I can carry lotion up, and I will put lotion on, and then I will smell my lotion. Yeah. I carry lotion when I go in like people's house, because I do life insurance, so I have life insurance brokerage. So I have clients I have to go to. So sometimes their house smells like cats, dogs.
If you want to do that business, you gotta already be like ready. You gotta be like,
I am ready.
Right, if I want to do this business, I'm gonna have to get used to these people. They smelling. They don't bake. Never mind. If they don't, if their house smell, then you're gonna have to get used to that if you want, like, to like
Inside
do
the
that.
mind of a 12-year-old, right?
Don't do that.
Look, communication is key. And when you have to tell somebody bad stuff, you might like, you know what? Have you tried the new the new floor powder? People, I'm gonna tell you something people don't know. The main reason their house smells is because of the cloth, the fabric in their house. So they might not wash their curtains. They might not wash their sofa cushions. They probably don't shampoo their carpets. Because they sitting on the sofa on their butt. They walking around the floor on their feet. Then the curtains have dust on them, which are particles from clothing. If you don't wash your clothes, there's your particles of clothing, which smell. Also, dust also includes like skin fibers. So if you're scratching a lot, and you have a lot of dead skin and stuff, then, hey, your house is going to smell. Or you get one smell is like if they have little kids and they spill a lot of milk everywhere, but it's not being cleaned up. Milk spoils, milk stinks. People don't know that. So if you have a good communication, you can actually tell somebody or give them hints on things without really hurting their feelings. So the issue is, like I was saying, about people who have habits, that they're trying to get through these habits. They're trying to get past the fact that this was part of their life and now they want to be better. Whatever it is that they do, whatever they're doing, commend them for doing that. Commend them for making that step and taking that step and making that change in their life. But if you don't have a good communication, you could say some things to these people, and they're going to want to go back and do whatever it is that they were doing, whether it's alcohol, pills, Molly, meth, crack, marijuana, all these things that people are addicted to. I don't think marijuana is addictive. I don't know. Maybe it is. It's addictive. Just saying. Just know.
I ain't gonna be doing it.
I know that. Yes, you better not.
Oh, I ain't gonna be doing it.
Why?
What?
Yeah, just tell me why you don't want to do it. Instead of my mommy and daddy told me not to do it. Why do you not want to do it? Why do you not want to do drugs? My parents told me not to. You should always have a reason why you don't do something. Not just because somebody told me to do it. Because eventually, when you don't listen to that person, and when you're grown, now you're going to do what you want to do. So now you have to have a real reason why you're not going to do something.
Because I want to get resurrected.
That's a good reason. That's a good reason. Do you know like the stuff does to your body and stuff like that?
It give you cancer and you die. And when you die, like, doing that stuff.
What gives you cancer?
The marijuana stuff. Lung cancer and stuff. Y'all want me to speak louder?
No. Marijuana doesn't give you cancer. Just the smoke itself is not good for your lungs.
Why they call it cancer sticks?
That's cigarettes. He's so smart. He's too smart for his own good. But like methamphetamines, you know what they make all kinds of crazy stuff. People be coming out with their pores and scratching and anything they make. They put all kinds of stuff in methamphetamines. They put Lucas, you know that stuff mommy puts in her gas tank.
What is that?
You know that little bottle of stuff mommy puts in the gas tank.
Oh yeah.
The little liquid, and I put it in there. Yeah, they put that in meth, and people smoke it. Yeah, exactly. The face. You see the face? Look at the face.
They smoke gas.
Well, no, they don't smoke gas. They Lucas. You know the little bottle of stuff. You know it's a big bottle, but mommy gets a little bottle like this, and I put it in my gas. I tip it up and just put it in my gas treatment. It's a gas treatment. You know what I'm talking about? The with the green bottle on top. Oh, excuse me, the green lid.
Oh yeah.
Now you know what I'm talking. They put that in there. People stuff spray paint. All that.
So it's just meth is just anything.
It can really, yeah, it can really be anything. You can put all kinds of stuff in there, crazy stuff. That's why they be all tweaking and weirded out, and then what you put in your body comes out of your body. So, you know, that's why you see them with little like pores and stuff, big old scabs, where they get these zits and they itch them, they scratch them off, and then they start their speaking, like fidgeting, where they scratching on their face, and
then they get crazy. Then be like.
That's Flocka. That's Flocka, and then they got Molly and all that crazy. That's crazy. That stuff's crazy.
They go to people's house.
Robbing people. So look, like this, communication. Communication is very important because, you know, like I just told my son, you should always have a reason for everything. If you can't communicate with kids, you know, you should be able to do that. And if you can't, then the message is going to be ineffective. There's a song that says your delivery is whack. It's a song about it's talking to girls about having sex. And it says that the reason that the lyrics say, but her delivery is whack, meaning that she's not giving an effective message. She's not delivering the message to her daughter enough where she can understand it. Communication is important. Just because you say something doesn't mean that the recipient is comprehending your message. Even if you're like, I'm speaking English. Look how many music lyrics are taken completely out of context. You'll be like, oh, okay, I know that song. That's a good song. And then you go, oh, well, that song was about suicide. They're like, really?
Like YNW Melly, that suicidal song.
No, I wasn't even talking about him because, baby, I don't listen to that.
Suicidal.
That's not funny.
That's the song, man. That's how it goes.
You listen, and then if you get into things like understanding the meaning, like the music industry itself and how it's attached to Illuminati's and, you know, things like that, you start to understand it. You see how symbolic the music is. But people will take that and it'll go completely a different direction. You can take a song that was written for, I remember one time there was a song by Casey and JoJo, All My Life. People thought that song was about him and a girl. And coming to find out, he said he wrote that song for his daughter. People are like, what? Communication is important. People are things are so symbolic nowadays that people take things completely out of context. Completely out of context. So just because you feel like it's coming out one way, it doesn't mean that the person that you're talking to is taking it that way. So you have to be thinking about that when you're dealing with communication. And that's why communication is key. Communication opens doors. And it opens doors to miscommunications. It opens doors to what you may have wanted to say. It opened the door to something completely different. It opened the door to now somebody thought, well, no, you told me this. That's not what I said. No, that is what you said. No, what I said was, And they'd be like, oh, okay. Because they didn't understand what you said. See, I had a thing with one of my boys, not him, but with one of my boys who you would say something to him and he would take it 10 different directions. And so we got to the point where we were just like, hey, I'd say something to him. Now tell me what I just said. And if he couldn't tell me, I knew he didn't understand what I said. And I knew he didn't comprehend it. So I had to get to the point where I would just ask him, repeat what I said. And then when he could finally repeat what I said, then, as far as like directions and stuff, I'd give him a direction. He didn't know. Communication is important. You have to understand how communication works. You have to understand how important it is when you're speaking to somebody. You think of communications, you think of dispatch. When you're 911. 911 dispatch, if you don't communicate with them the proper way, if they don't ask all them little crazy questions they ask, they mess around and send the police when they need to be sending an ambulance. Communication is important. You have to take it seriously. And when you're talking to people and you're saying, just rambling, just saying things off the top of you have to think about how what you said can hurt the other person that you're either talking about or you're talking to. People can be in their feelings, but when you communicate properly, or you communicate in a way where people can understand what it is that you're talking about, it goes a lot smoother. It goes a lot smoother. People are not trying to figure out what it is that you said. They know what you said because it's really clear what it is that you were saying. So, look, y'all, I think that pretty much sums it up. You got anything you want to say? Go ahead. If you want to be somebody, if you want to go somewhere, go ahead and sing that for me. I dare you.
Wait, can I get $5 if I do it?
Can you get $5?
If I do it on the video.
I ain't paying you $5 for that. Are you serious?
Can I go to Walmart with you tomorrow?
What makes you think I'm going to Walmart tomorrow?
And get UFC gloves?
What?
UFC gloves. You know the one
UFC gloves. Y'all got 2 pairs of gloves.
No, I want it.
I'm tired of buying gloves.
I showed you that yesterday. I mean, like.
So you gonna sing it?
The other day.
You gonna do it?
Can you give me UFC gloves?
No, I ain't doing that. That's $30. You went from $5 to $30.
Mom, they not. Mom, I showed you.
Here we go.
Them was like $9. I showed you.
They was what?
It was like 10.
You said 10, 9.
$10.
What? What's that supposed to mean?
I said I was meaning like $10. Hey, I was like.
You said UFC gloves.
They like at Walmart.
So UFC, not boxing gloves, but like MMA gloves. You said UFC.
Yes. No, like you know the
boxing gloves.
You know the one like the things,
Yeah,
not the blocks. The block. I said blocks. Not the boxing ones. The gloves that your fingers stick out of. Them MMA gloves.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And they're not really MMA gloves. They weightlifting gloves. Yeah, so you can. Okay, never mind. He ain't gonna do it. So
I will if you will give me.
This is the first lesson I started teaching everybody.
If you get them, I'll do it. I swear.
I'm not gonna get them. So, look, that's gonna wrap it up. Look, he's so sad.
Be somebody. If you wanna go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention. What you gonna do if I'm standing right here? I'm not gonna sing this part because I know it's nasty. I'm done.
What? Oh, really? My son made up a song when he was little. Not this one, the other one. I'll make a whole video on that right there because look, that's the first lesson I started teaching. And I stole it from Sister Act 2. So go watch the movie. Look. So that's going to be all, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Look here. Subscribe to this channel. Make sure you hit that bell. Do not forget to hit that all, because if you don't, then you ain't going to get the material. And you want to make sure that you're going to be the first one to get the material. So go ahead and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit the notification bell. Also, y'all, make sure that you share this video with your family, friends, and whoever you think needs to hear this message. Like this video and comment.